Hey, before we keep going, I gotta tell you something. So if you are here on this channel, there's a good chance that you wanna grow your business. But the truth is, like, really true growth happens from laying a foundation of fully understanding the skill of selling. And honestly, that's exactly what I want to teach you in something called the Sell Your Offer Challenge. This is a 5-day challenge where you're going to learn how to sell with so much confidence, with clarity, and honestly, most importantly, with consistency. So whether you feel like you're just getting started, or maybe you are kind of getting close to those 6-figure years, but you feel like you're just kind of winging it and it's just not super predictable, this challenge is for you. So click the link in the description below and join us, and I can't wait to see you. Let's go. The quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions. That's what a mentor of mine told me years ago. I could not agree more, and I especially believe this is true when it comes to your sales conversations. Now, I've trained thousands of women. I haven't always trained women. I've trained both men and women. And so because I've trained both, I have found that women typically struggle with asking questions the most because they want to be genuine, of course, and they want people to feel comfortable opening up to them. And they think that in order to be genuine and make people feel comfortable, they can't ask maybe some hard questions, right? They feel like they're interrogative or intrusive, and that doesn't align with them. And so they just skim the surface. But I just want you to know there is a way to ask questions that help people feel comfortable while also you getting the information that you need. Now, within all the sales trainings that I've done, without fail, someone raises their hand and they say, Macy, is there a way that you could send like a list of the right questions to ask in a sales conversation? And honestly, I wish that I could. I really do. It'd be a lot easier for everybody. But the problem is that Amazing Info Gather, it isn't about the right questions or the textbook questions. It's about the relevant questions. And asking relevant questions is really dependent on the person and their circumstances and their pains and their desires and what they have going on. And so if I were to ask you, or if I were to give you these list of questions that weren't relevant for the person, it would just be in one ear, out the other. So I want to give you a visual mental picture for you to have when you're thinking about asking relevant questions. So I want you to imagine that there's a bridge, okay? And you are on the other side of the bridge, and you have already experienced life with the payoff that you're trying to sell. So you have experienced life after losing 50 pounds. You've experienced life thin, or with, a lot of money, or maybe you have a ton of energy, or you have, a loving relationship, and you're just like, this is where it's at. This island right here is where everyone needs to be so that they can experience the life that I've experienced. But you have all these people, these prospects over here who haven't experienced this yet. In fact, this is why they're talking to you, because they want the life of being thin and full of energy and with a lot of money. And it can be really easy to ask questions with this frame of mind. Like, this is normal, this is common, this is easy, this is, just a walk in the park, when they're over here looking kind of in the water of all the things that have not worked for them, of why this is such a scary decision, of why this is so hard for them. And it can be really, really challenging to go from this frame of mind back to this frame of mind. I know for me, I learned how to sell almost 10 years ago, and my life has drastically changed from knowing how to sell. And I oftentimes forget what it's like to be here, to not know how to sell, to not have predictable income, to not be able to just pick up my son in the middle of the day and take him to a movie, to not be able to go on vacation 4 times a year. I forget. And so it really takes a lot of effort for me to kind of hike myself over here, get beside them, and not really look in the water at myself, but look at the water at what they're looking at. It's a very different mindset. And I want you to imagine, like, if you have kids, you've probably experienced this before, but I will do my son's hair. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, and I have another one on the way. And when I'm doing his hair, I will look at him in the mirror as he's looking at himself. And I feel like I almost see him differently in that moment. I see almost like the way God sees him. I see like how he sees himself. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, what is he thinking about? I wonder if he's nervous about anything for today. I wonder if he's excited about the day. And I kind of feel like I get into a different mind frame when I see him in the mirror as he's looking at himself. And that's how I want you to think. Like, I am coming out of my frame of mind. I'm coming over to this island that I haven't been to in a while, and I'm going to look in the water at what they are looking at, not at what I want to look at, but what are they looking at? How do they see themselves? What do they think their problems are? And how can I make sure that I'm situating myself to be relevant to them, not to what I want to see? So how do you really get yourself situated like this and ensure you're asking not the right questions, but the relevant questions in a way that feels warm and encouraging? And there really is one major secret to this, and it is to ask clarifying questions. So what is a clarifying question? All a clarifying question is a question that helps you gain a deeper level of understanding. It seems really simple, but what I have found is that experts have a very hard time asking clarifying questions. And if you're watching this, if you sell an offer or a service, you probably would consider yourself the expert, the authority of what you do. And I'll tell you why I think experts have such a hard time asking clarifying questions. Number one, experts likely have seen the pattern before. I know I've been in conversations before and people are telling me the problems in their business, and my thoughts definitely are, I've heard this before. I've already heard this. I know what your issue is. And the thing about your brain is that it loves to be efficient. And one of the ways that it is efficient is by creating patterns that you can easily identify and then solve for. So you really want to be careful to not assume that you've seen the pattern and you know what they're talking about, but be willing to go on a deeper level of understanding. The second reason I think experts have such a hard time asking clarifying questions is that subconsciously they fear if they ask clarifying questions, they will come off as less of an expert. And that is simply not true. In fact, people will feel like they trust you so much more when they see that you are genuinely curious about them. And lastly, I find that experts can get very attached to their own frameworks, myself included. I love my frameworks. I've worked so hard on them and they are proven. And so I just want to get them to people. But sometimes people don't need the frameworks yet, right? They're not here yet. They just need understanding so that when they do walk over the bridge, then they will be ready for the framework. So the question now becomes, how do you ask those clarifying questions? Well, I'm going to break it down into 3 categories for you. You can clarify through stories, clarify through definitions, and then clarify through what I'm calling the W question. So let's start with number 1, clarifying through stories. You cannot sell to somebody if their subconscious mind is disagreeing with you. And it's very challenging to kind of get to that subconscious mind because the conscious mind is sort of top of mind, and it's very easy to speak from the conscious mind. It can be hard to speak from the subconscious mind. So as a salesperson, you want to see how you can bypass that conscious mind and get directly to the subconscious. Now, the good news is the subconscious, it speaks in stories. So when you're telling a story, you're speaking to the subconscious mind, but also when you ask for a story, you're hearing the subconscious mind. And what you can listen for from the subconscious mind is unbelievably valuable because you can kind of read between the lines and hear what they value or what objection might come up later simply based on the way that they tell their story. And so the clarifying question is literally as simple as this. That word story is going to kind of unlock that subconscious mind and let them take it wherever they want to go. It's going to feel like you're kind of opening a can of worms, and that's totally fine. We want to see, where are they at, right? What are they seeing when they look in the water? So I'll give you a quick example. You know, if you were to ask somebody, like, tell me what you do, they would probably tell you like their elevator pitch statement, which is usually very beautiful and very well thought out, but it's thought out with their conscious mind. So you can listen to that statement and you might ask a clarifying question that says something like, very cool. So tell me the story of what made you start this business. And I know I've done this, and people will start crying. They start telling me about their childhood and what they want for their kids and their future. And it really unlocks so much information that becomes so valuable in the sales presentation. The second way to clarify is to clarify through definitions. So our brain creates meaning through association. Someone says a word and your brain thinks, what do I already know about what that word means? And so you start to create your own meaning about what they're saying. And remember, we don't want to live over here. We want to come over here and see what they're looking at. So for example, if someone says, I just want to be successful, you might think, oh, big house, lots of money, extravagant vacations. But they might be thinking peace, present with my kids, and work that matters. Now, what's crazy is that honestly, I kind of believe that, being able to have a lot of money is what creates peace and the ability to have presence with your kids. And a lot of times doing work what matters is what helps you make a lot of money, but they don't see that yet, right? So we don't want to rush them over here. We just want to check in and see, where are you at? Like another example could be the word discipline, right? You hear discipline and you think, oh, structure and strength. But they hear discipline and they think punishment and pressure, and they don't want all that. And so they push it away. Just getting clarity by making sure we are talking about the same thing here is going to really help make sure that you are in the frame of mind that you're speaking to them of where they're at right here so that you can guide them over the bridge. My camera crashed out on me before I could film my third part of how to clarify. So the last way is to use those W questions, which sound like what, why, and also tell me more, which I know doesn't start with a W. But I want to tell you when to use these in a way that feels really good, but also in the most important time is when someone says something like, that's too expensive. It's going to be very tempting to just kind of smile and nod and say, yeah, it is expensive. I'm going to stop right there and ask them, what makes them say that? Tell me more about that. And I know that feels intrusive for a lot of people, but I want to show you how it could take you to two totally different paths. So if they say that's expensive and you say, hey, tell me more about that. Well, maybe they say, I've never spent that kind of money on this, which will take you in one direction. Or maybe they say, you know what, I've spent that money and much more before and it hasn't worked. Well, guess what? Now you're gonna go down another path where you're asking, okay, tell me more about what did you spend that money on? What made you want to buy it at that time? When did you spend it? Maybe it was 10 years ago. You just never know what could come up. And I also love the phrase, what's coming up for you? If it feels silent or you feel like they're kind of thinking about a lot of things and you're not really sure where they're at, just kind of walk over here to the bridge and ask, tell me what's coming up for you and see what they're looking at when they're looking in the water. I hope this video was helpful and I hope you feel really encouraged and excited to ask those clarifying questions. Comment below your biggest takeaway and I'll see you in the next one.